Shapiro, and I am a painter and installation artist. I'm in a space that I made called the Red Room, or the Entrance Within, and it's part of a larger project that I'm working on of installation rooms that are based off of different colors. So obviously this one is red, and yeah, every surface in the room is made with paintings that are mixed media, um, and then in the rooms, I plan to activate all of them with dance and performers who are also in specialty painted costumes that match the rooms.
Do you do or participate in the choreography, or do you have someone that kind of oversees that, or how does that blend, or how do you kind of see control, or is it just open and people be more experimental in that space?
It's a collaboration, so I just love dance, but I'm not a dancer by any means. So as far as any dance and movement in here, it will be choreographed by Mia Orozco, who's
Okay.
a choreographer and director who I've worked with for a number of years now.
Okay. Do you have any of those out on YouTube or recorded for people to see?
Um, there probably are.
They
I
probably are.
have to write them down and find them,
Yeah.
but there likely are.
So how did you end up making these spaces, or what sort of things did you do to get to this point? Or when you started making work, was it just, I like this installation, I like creating environments, or was there a process to get to this point?
I started out painting and drawing and doing sculpture, and then just being influenced by other artists whose work I saw, and also by being in art school and thinking a lot about art. um, I came into making spaces with my work. So then it just, when I was in college, I started experimenting with making different spaces with large paintings and sculptures. And as time has gone on, it's become a lot more cohesive.
Mm.
One artist in particular who really made me see, like, oh wow, this can be art, was seeing Thomas Hirshhorn's Caveman Man at the Carnegie. It was at the Carnegie. They have a yearly show at the museum in Pittsburgh, and I think it was like 2008 or 2009. And I walked through this whole immersive cave installation, and I just had no idea until that time that art, that could be art.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, I wanted to make spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the space you're in now, it's made up of, are they sort of loose panels that can roll and store, and you can set these up in all different locations? Or do you need a specific spot to be able to put this together?
Yeah, so they're all they all look very much together at this point, but there's a lot of separate pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And like each one of these are like 5 foot by 9 foot paintings.
Okay.
Which are made with drawings that I screen print and hand sewing and water-based paints. And then the floor in here is on Mylar, and then it's protected with a laminate.
Okay.
It also is with screen prints, but I just glue them on the Mylar. And then, yeah, a lot of repetitive elements.
Yeah. So if this piece was inside of a gallery, would it be presented to the public as sort of the sculpture that they would then go into, or is it something that you would access immediately once you kind of are in the space? Does that make sense? Is it something that can be enjoyed both from the exterior, but you really have to go inside to have the experience?
You have to go inside to have the experience,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think it'd be right now it's displayed in my studio where you can't see both sides, but I do
Yeah.
think it'd be interesting to have it um, suspended
Yeah.
and seen from both sides.
You know, because originally this exhibition was supposed to be in the gallery,
Yep.
and now we've postponed it. So eventually it's going to be set up in this space, and it's going to be having to interact in a way with artwork in in the show. And it'll be interesting just to see how people choose to participate. You know, and I'm sure some people might be reluctant to go inside, and other people might be really excited to have this sort of full experience. So that's exciting. Are you working on any other projects at this point, kind of getting through this period?
Yeah, I'm working on a bunch of stuff. I've been working on a lot of individual paintings of various sizes.
Mhm.
So in the same process of like screen printed drawings and sewing and water-based paint. And I've been doing a bunch of painting, which is great. And then there's an orange room that I've been starting as well because this is part of a larger series. Um, and then there's just random projects that pop up, like, and sometimes it depends on stuff that I find. Like, I found a really cool chair 2 days ago, and I was like, I'm gonna paint on this chair. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, there are things like that that pop up too.
Yeah. Do you do anything outside of making artwork? Do you have another sort of career in the arts, or are you all in on painting?
I'm all in.
All in on painting? That's exciting. I mean, it's um, to be all in, like that's your thing, is really great. I know, like I kind of bridge as a painter as well. I make paintings, but I'm also run the gallery and do teaching and stuff. But it would be wonderful to be back into a studio full time, just making artwork.
Have you had more time to do that now with the current
Um,
situation?
Unfortunately, no, because I have two kids,
Oh,
and
okay.
they require so much of my time. And any chance you get to sit down and start something is quickly interrupted by I need a snack, and that kind of just
Oh,
throws a wrench into the mix. But um, I had a studio that I recently got rid of just because I wasn't using it, and so
yeah.
I'm just it's a kitchen table drawing really is what I'm doing. So ideally, taking a couple hundred of these small drawings and you know, slowly building them up to larger scale eventually. So
Yeah. I think that continuous practice is really important, even if you don't have like all the time to do it, because a lot of the time when you are really busy, there's still a lot that, wants to come through you and come
yeah,
out.
you got to
It's
do something. I keep my kids entertained. I just making black line drawings, and then I print them out, and they just use them like coloring books.
aw,
And they're kind of bizarre, fun, abstract with sort of realistic elements, but they're
yeah.
bizarre and strange, and it makes them laugh. So it's kind of like a collaboration, but
Yeah.
you know,
How
staying
old are your kids?
6 and 11.
Okay.
So, and they start homeschool tomorrow, so that's going to be a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, any words of wisdom you can give to up and coming artists and maybe students here at the college?
Yeah, sure. I think really like take the time when you're in school to explore and find out what is important to you.
Hmm.
There are many different ways to be an artist in the real world when you get out of school, and it's it's a matter of seeing what works for you and what you really want.
Hmm.
So you just have to understand that, because after school, there's a lot more things that pop up, like relationships and jobs and um, just different ways of life. But if you are clear with what you want, you can really guide that
Yeah.
to a point.
Okay. And then one last question. It might sound silly. If you could have dinner with any artist, alive or dead, who would it be, and what would be on the menu?
What would it be and what would be on the menu? I'm gonna choose to have dinner with Lee Krasner
Okay.
because she was just alive for so much of the modern art movement, and she's such a great artist herself and had so much going for her. And then when she met Jackson Pollock, decided to really fully charge his career because she believed in him so much.
Yeah.
And that he was such a like destructive person in so many
Yeah.
ways that I just think it'd be so interesting to hear her story.
Yeah.
Um, what would be on the menu? Um, I don't know. Maybe like some absinthe. I think she still drank a little bit. What else could we have? I don't know. We could just go to like Sage in LA.
Yeah.
some some great vegan restaurant that's gonna have a
Yeah.
bunch of delicious foods.
That would be a very interesting conversation to have with her, just saying, what were you, why were you all in, and
Yeah, and like just what a life.
yeah.
I doubt she regretted any of it, but
Yeah. And I think her work is so much more interesting than his work ever was, and so it's hard to see that someone else gets the spotlight when you're
and
kind
she
of,
had so many different skills. She was such a good organizer and um like businesswoman.
yeah.
Also this great artist. Where Jackson Pollock was really just he was an artist, I don't think
Yeah.
he could do much else. And like I personally feel like that. I'm like, I can't do much else. I'm not an alcoholic, but like,
Yeah.
um, but she was really a badass and so ahead of her time. I think like
Yeah.
she was born in what, like 1930s or so, or I
Probably
don't,
a
I don't.
little before that. Yeah. But I think it's hard because there's some people that always think that they could do it all, but really it's that creating that community of people that if you're going to make your work, you're going to make your work, and you need to find someone that really likes to write about your work. And then you got to find this sort of group that everyone fills in the gaps where needed, and you kind of collectively all move forward together. So
Yeah,
it's great to have those communities if you can get them.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for participating. How's it going? Thank you guys so much for both participating in this. We're really just looking for an informal conversation to post throughout the run of this digital exhibition to get more people to come in and to see what you're up to. But Megan, do you want to start?
Sure. So my name is Megan Koth. I'm a painter, and I'm currently based out of Santa Barbara, California, because I just graduated with my MFA from UC Santa Barbara. And my work is, at least in the last couple years, has basically focused around issues of like self-care and private beauty rituals and sort of examining them from a personal perspective. So I work with a lot of self-portraiture. Basically, if there's like a figure in my work, then it's probably me. And so just exploring that and sort of public and private spaces, and especially lately how those interact with the internet and how people present themselves, especially women, online. Um,
You know, I don't know how far along you were with your graduate show, and how did this recent shutdown in COVID affect that last semester of graduate school?
oh gosh, well, it did delay my in-person graduate thesis exhibition, so that's actually happening in October.
Okay.
Because ordinarily we do it on the campus museum, but we're actually having it at the MCA Santa Barbara in downtown Santa Barbara in October. So some things had to be delayed. We did do an online kind of thesis exhibition just to, fulfill that requirement for the degree. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Like, I still was able to use my studio and whatnot. And, you know, certainly all of the strangeness going on kind of, I think, affected my productivity and like creative juices. But luckily, you know, my program was very understanding, and I still somehow managed to make new work, surprisingly. So
That's awesome.
it affected me probably in ways that I won't realize until like a year from now.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with each other's work?
No, this is introduction for me.
Okay.
I briefly looked at Bree's work on Instagram, and I kind of snuck in and looked at her video.
Oh, awesome. I actually,
share.
yeah, I tried to check out everybody's video, and for whatever reason, my computer wouldn't play it, but I saw you posted a video too, so I'm, yeah.
Oh, I haven't posted my video yet.
Okay.
So.
Well, it's going to be interesting where the college has set up sort of a landing page that has a brief biography, a link to a website, and then if Eric had ever made a video about you, that video is posted there. Yeah. And there's going to be a Facebook page that just as an event page, in addition to a blog. So it's trying to put all these things together, because some people only come into these opportunities from certain avenues. So
yeah.
I want to get as many people as possible to at least kind of have this experience. So
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. So what are you up to?
So my name is Bree Sorrell. I'm a painter and video artist, currently living in Los Angeles. And right now, interestingly enough, at the beginning of COVID, I had a lot of people, 3 people contact me directly for commissions, which I had 2 shows that I was going to prepare for that fell through. Mm-hmm. And so the commissions actually made this seamless transition of me having plenty of stuff to do. I didn't have any downtime. So I have 1 commission in the works right now, and I basically have a list of things to do that I, like Megan, I also kind of had dips and wanes in my productivity level and my enthusiasm for doing art at this moment. But it comes and goes. It's like I'll have a week where I struggle and I feel like I'm really not getting a lot done. But then I will I guess I get to a point with my paintings where that kind of happens anyways, that I'll just have, it feels like, you know, almost like just the ditch digging, like you just have to get this part done. It's not exciting. But once you you kind of level up, and every time you get a piece done, I kind of get excited again about finishing stuff, because my paintings often take months. So I am kind of used to feeling like, oh, this is just going on forever, and then getting to a point where I could see the ending and getting kind of reinvigorated to finish it up.
Yeah. Now, both of you work with the figure as primary in your work, but you have a sort of layer of text on top. Yeah. So where did you kind of not stumble upon, but at what point did that become part of it, or was it always part having text involved?
So before I started painting in oil, I painted in acrylics, and I really feel like I struggled a lot at that point to kind of find a style, find a voice, understand what it was that I wanted to do with imagery. And so at that point, I studied a lot, just literally Googling artists, Googling eras and decades. And I was inspired by 60s and 70s poster art, which often had text in it. I would find myself kind of like getting attracted to cinema posters and stuff that incorporates graphic design and text in a way that kind of would just have a whole story in it. And the more I recognized that I was attracted to it, the more I sought that kind of material out. And I really do feel like Banksy and Barbara Kruger were kind of the 2 artists that helped me put together the formula that I kind of am dedicated to now. And Banksy, because of the way he kind of can deliver a message in like one punch, his imagery is so simple and direct that I always was like, yeah, why is it so hard to communicate through imagery? Like, what, I just want to say it, you know, I just want it to be like evident when you first see it. So that kind of put me on that track. And then Barbara Kruger's work, which I think is like, you know, pretty apparent when you see my stuff, because sometimes I even am attracted to her color palette of black and white and red. I just feel like it has kind of like a punk poster. It has this energy to it that feels like dangerous and edgy. But she kind of helped me realize that text can bring this third element to my paintings that just imagery or graphic design alone couldn't accomplish. So I would say that developed probably around 2011. I was struggling with painting a lot, and that's also when I decided to dedicate to learning oils. So I kind of was developing my style and learning oil painting at the same time. And that's where it began.
And Megan, are you working in oils as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been working. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I've been working with oil since I was an undergrad. So for, I guess that would mean the last like 6-7 years.
Yeah. Okay. I was looking at some of your work and some of the stuff with the face masks and the cucumber patches and stuff, and it was interesting because for right now, not that I do this all the time, but sort of this self-soothing thing. My wife buys lots of these masks and stuff, and the whole family, we put masks on at night just to
Nice.
sometimes it's really stressful. We all collectively, we do that. And it was interesting when I saw your work. I'm like, that was me like a week ago. How did you come up? So you said most of these are self-portraits, and you're the model, but what goes into the sort of these portraits?
Well, the mask series kind of started initially. I was making these sort of, they originally looked kind of more like Baroque, neo-Baroque, kind of like more traditional looking, like Caravaggio-esque, like dramatic lighting, like standard like portraits of me wearing these sheet masks. And I kind of just initially started that series thinking it was sort of like a funny way of introducing this like very contemporary and kind of silly and also like, you know, girly kind of thing into this like really traditional like masculinist, you know, painting tradition or style. And then they've sort of evolved into like me thinking kind of more deeply about again, like the idea of self-care and like, you know, the fact that this is like a private ritual usually. I mean, you talked about like it's kind of a communal ritual for like you and your family, but you know, most of the time when you're doing like a mask or when you're removing or putting on makeup or something, it's this private ritual of you evaluating yourself, you know, every day, every night, every morning. And you know, I started to examine that from a more personal perspective, and so then it also felt like even more appropriate that they were, you know, self-portraits, because before it didn't necessarily matter that they were me. It was kind of just like I'm immediately always available to model for a, you know, painting, but it started to become kind of more significant because it became more of like a personal exploration of like that kind of private moment of vulnerability and documenting it. But then, of course, mediating it through painting and making it even more, you know, large and dramatic and whatnot.
So this gallery is associated to community college. We have a lot of students coming through, both looking to continue their education. Some are coming in just to kind of get better at something they enjoy doing. Would there be sort of any advice that you can give throughout your travels? Like what's the best thing to do if you could tell someone that is 22 and they're like, I'm going to do this and this is what I want to be and this is where I want to be when I'm 35, you know, what expectations, these kind of things.
I would say definitely investing in education is a great start in terms of learning the context of your position as an artist where you want to be in terms of I mean, I feel like art is the longest conversation that's gone on throughout all of humanity. And if you want to be a part of it, I feel like it's important to learn. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a school education. But I do feel, I mean, I enjoyed art school so much. I feel like it was a missing piece for me because I always was creative as a child. But I never really understood the gravity of dedicating yourself to being an artist. And I mean, it's difficult. I you know, I won't lie, it's difficult. I of course started before there was social media, so networking and all that was just so much harder. So I do feel like there are so many more tools now that kids already use seamlessly, that I'm sure they can understand how to use them better than I even do at this point to propel themselves. But I think studying, however that best suits each person, because I know not everybody feels academic. I didn't feel academic before I went to art school, but I felt like that again was like a missing piece for me to kind of understand what it is I want to do with my practices. So yeah, I would say study, whether that's, you know, every night Googling, reading articles, studying artists that you admire, and just understand that it's a long game. I feel like it's an endurance game, you know, it's an endurance challenge, because I've had plenty of other creative friends kind of drop out. And I think because maybe I can't speak for them, but I do think there's people who expect results from this, and I don't think that's what the point is. You know,
Yeah.
It's got to be fulfilling for yourself, not the rewards that you get from it, because
it's a lifestyle. I mean,
yes,
if you get in, think that within a year you're going to have 3 galleries in different continents and be flying in a jet, baby, that's at the
good
odds.
luck. Yeah.
And yourself, Megan?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the old chestnut that would always get repeated to me by different professors and stuff was always, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you really can't go into this, I think probably any creative field, kind of expecting, yeah, to see like immediate results, or to even necessarily have like kind of the security of even always being aware of sort of your progress towards a certain thing, you know.
Totally.
I mean, to me, you just kind of, the only thing that you can really control is just making each painting, you know, then thinking about the next painting and making it better than the one before.
Totally.
And I would also emphasize that, you know, even though like us as artists, we spend a lot of time alone in the studio and like being in, you know, art making is very much like a solitary process, at least for me, like as a painter. But community is such a huge part of being an artist, and I feel like it took me kind of a while to kind of realize how much being an artist, or at least like in terms of, you know, working as an artist and getting opportunities and showing my work, that's a lot of community work, and you know, connecting with other artists, and you know, going to art openings and just being involved in your local art community. Like that's what's going to get you opportunities, like, you know, if you want to show your work and receive those kinds of opportunities. And I got actually a lot of great, I mean, I really loved, I got a BFA and then I just got an MFA. So I have gone the academic route, but I also learned a ton just from like working at galleries between undergrad and now. And I also even like worked as like a portrait model at like an artist school. I used to live in Arizona, so there's a like, it's called like an atelier. So it's where they teach like really traditional painting techniques. And I was a portrait model there, so I got to like sort of get paid and also watch like demos from these like modern master like kind of artists. And so I got to see their techniques. And I think that bled into my work because I make self-portraiture, and I think it made me want to explore figurative painting more, just because I was like surrounded by that. So if you can get any kind of side gig going as well, where you can be put in an environment like that that feeds into your work, then that can also be a huge benefit as
That's
well.
something I always advise the students on. So for me, my undergrad, I worked in the wood shop. I worked in the photo labs. By doing that, I got to use them after hours. So always being involved in that. And during graduate school, I worked as an installer in homes and galleries and museums. And all the people you meet all become part of this network, where if you chose to just, I'm not putting down waiters, but if you just chose to wait tables, that maybe you missed out on a whole population of people that you never really got to see, which makes it so hard now because of this COVID stuff. Even if you did spend a month in a cave painting, at least once a month you came out for a couple hours, saw other humans, and then you can go right back in the cave. So
yeah, I still feel like I am learning the networking part of it, because like you said, Megan, it is so it's such a secluded practice that and I went to art school in Oakland. So a lot of the network that I just kind of had given to me, I don't have here in LA. And I still feel like, yeah, like a fish out of water a lot of times when it comes to networking, because I guess I mean, I don't identify as an introvert, but because I am alone most of the time painting and just working on my practice, that happens. So I think another piece of advice that building off of what you said is to push yourself to do that, because I feel like I had to kind of get over a lot of things that I didn't like about painting, because you get to control your practice so much that you maybe get picky about the type of stuff you want to do. And I have learned through the decade of doing this that you have to do it all. You can't just pick and choose, oh, I don't like this, and I don't like networking, and I don't see myself as the business side. It just won't work unless you learn those other pieces. And I still feel like I am, like the art is the part that is intuitive, and everything else that comes with it is hard work and learning. And yeah, I think if you're always willing to learn and grow your practice that way, that's the other half of make great art. And then the other half is networking and doing shows and being able to represent yourself and write about yourself. All those things, yeah, are big portions of what it takes to keep going forward, get to the next show, make the next piece. Those yeah, I agree with everything you said, and feel like that's a big part that I don't know if I struggle with, but I still feel so small when it comes to kind of getting those steps going for myself. But my first gallery, I guess another piece of advice I would give is don't be shy about contacting artists, maybe via Instagram or Facebook that you admire and you like, and ask them questions, because that's what I did. That's how I got started with oil painting. There were a few artists early on Facebook that actually responded back to me, which I'm still very grateful for, and kind of just helped answer some questions here and there that I had along the way. That I feel like, yeah, it's super important to ask questions, even if that means cold calling a gallery and maybe asking them if they would do a portfolio review, which is something I did. And, I don't know how common it is. It's, again, I'm not around my academic upbringings at this point now that I'm in LA. So I just cold called a gallery that I really liked, asked them if they would do a portfolio review. And I know by the person's response, he was kind of just like, sure. You know, so I don't think he gets asked that a lot, but it was awesome. It was really great to get his perspective, and that ended up being one of the first major galleries I showed in several years later. So I think
if you hadn't made that call, that wouldn't have happened. So
exactly. I mean, I think I'm genuinely kind of a curious person, so it's not hard for me to ask questions, but I know it can be daunting when you feel like, oh, you know, that person's so far ahead of me and I don't want to bother them with my question or whatever might be going through your head. Ask questions, contact people, contact galleries. It's, you know, it's going to give you more answers in a way that I think will help propel what you want to achieve.
I had given that sort of a similar advice to some people that they really wanted to show at a gallery. So I said, go to the gallery, but don't say you're an artist. Just go to the shows and let the person realize who you are. And then eventually they'll say, so what do you do? And you say, oh, I'm a painter. And that person will be like, oh, great. And you didn't bother me about it for 6 months. And now you have this sort of, you know, I'm just here part of this whole scene. And
yeah, I'm sure there's a balance of not like bugging. You don't want to bug somebody for sure. And I think that might be part of holding people back from asking questions sometimes, because I definitely am cautious not to, you know, buzz in somebody's ear too much. But
you call and make an appointment. You don't show up.
Oh, yeah.
Opening night.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, don't show up at the gallery with your portfolio.
No.
On your arm.
No, make that plan first so that they are prepared, you're prepared. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend just walking into a gallery with your portfolio. And especially you don't want to like advertise yourself or bother people on somebody else's opening night. Like that's a taboo that I have seen go down, I've heard go down, and I just, you don't want to do that. You want to call on a Wednesday, just talk to them, see if they're open to doing a portfolio review with you. I have to say, I only got that opportunity that one time. Anytime after that I tried to do it to galleries, they're most likely just said, you know, send us an email and we review the emails. So you never know though.
All right, so I had a question and we'll wrap it up soon. You get a chance, you both can answer this. You get a chance to have dinner with an artist, alive or dead.
Ooh.
And anyone, anytime. Who is it and what's on the menu?
Just one artist?
I guess you can pick a group. I mean, sure, whatever. Yeah, pick a couple.
I definitely would love to be around Andy Warhol and that whole experience. I am a huge fan of his because I recognize how he like broke the art world with what he does or did. And he's very interesting. I'm also attracted to the fact that he did film, you know, had like kind of this live cultural experience that he facilitated, paintings. So multidisciplinary artists, I always kind of am attracted to how they juggle those different things, because I myself still struggle with doing film, video, and painting because they just have no relation to each other in terms of the activity. Like a lot of the times the stuff that I work on video wise does not enter into my painting world. They're kind of like separate. So definitely Andy Warhol. And I suppose I would be interested to have him order and see what he picks, because I could expect everything from like a banana to, you know, a shoe or whatever. Soup, I guess soup can. I don't know what he would pick.
Yeah. Okay. It'd be interesting to get someone like Warhol if you had, let's say, two people, if I offered that, and then bring someone in from like 1850s just to see how they would react to this.
Yeah.
This is what the future is. And so be fun. Playful.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, the two people that immediately sprung to mind are still alive. So Wayne Thiebaud and Jenny Saville are two of my favorite painters. It would be a hard time to choose between either of them.
Bring 'em
But
both.
for both of them, I think we just like enjoy geeking out about painting because they're both like painters like I am, and so I think we would just end up like talking about like, oh yeah, Sargent is great, like I don't know. And if it was with Wayne, then we would eat cake, obviously, because he was like known for painting like cakes and
Yeah.
whatnot. Or if I was being with Jenny, we would have some kind of like, I don't know, weird like grotesque meat looking thing because like I'm thinking about the food like matching their work somehow.
Right.
So those would be my choices.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for participating, and we'll see how it all ends up. And I'll probably edit from this point out. So I pushed the opening to the 4th of September, and it's up to anyone that wants to participate, but I have like an open Zoom meeting that anyone can log in.
Oh, fun.
And it'll just be as many
cool.
people that want to participate, have a drink, and just talk
Hang
about
out.
painting.
Cool.
Yeah, hang out.
Yeah.
And I'll record it and I'll put that up on the website. It's hard because so I live in Catalina.
Okay.
My wife runs the museum out here, and they've been closed since the 14th of March. And so they've had to find ways to really re-engage or entertain their population. So they've been making movies and interviews, and they have all these interesting people from all over the place coming and speaking. So I've been watching what they've been doing, and I'm thinking, oh, I could do that, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but I figured this, especially if you take a look at that video, the Symbioplasm, whatever it is, Eric's video.
Oh yeah, Eric's
Film,
movie.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you'll see kind of
Yeah.
the film is like, it's a bunch of vignettes of people just talking about being creative and how they're going
That's
to
cool.
approach the problem. And so hopefully within these 3 or 4 videos I've been making, we'll have that feeling as well included into this.
That's such a good idea in terms of it's so Andy Kaufman kind of, where it's like about studying what you're studying,
Yeah.
and showing how you study it while you study it, kind of just this like
Yeah,
snake
I think-
eating its tail.
And hopefully all this kind of gets wrapped up, we'll say virus wise.
Oh, right.
We can get back on the schedule and have an actual art opening in a building. It'll be really
Imagine
exciting.
that.
Yeah, right.
An art opening in a building.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to like seeing human beings closer than 6 feet.
It's been
So
so long since I
It's
think I
been
went to
so
an art
long.
opening right before like
Yeah.
campus like closed down and stuff, like back in March. And if I had known that would be my last art opening for months and months. I know.
I
All
feel
right, well-
similar. I haven't seen anybody besides my partner in like over 6 months. So like I
Interesting.
took it for granted before that I could just go see my friends and be normal. So I think after this, I will make a asserted effort to get out there more for sure.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's just kind of what people choose to do with their time, and being in a creative mode and investigating is only going to make sort of this post-COVID period that much more interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.